Hello, let's look today at simple petals and leaves using 3 colours only and a simple brush technique. So I'm using that lovely turquoise blue, this gorgeous lime green, and a little bit of neon pink, and let's see what we can create just using simple brush strokes. So I have a nice brush. I don't know if you can see what it is, just a normal round brush. I'm going to wet the end of it before putting it into the paint, and then I'm going to load it with the green. I'm going to just draw some very basic stems with the paintbrush and very light pressure. Just nice and flowing, nothing contrived, it's just an experimental piece of work. So there's no pressure, nothing can go wrong, it's all fine. So you can see here that I'm twizzling my brush in order to get the paint well into the ferrules, into the bristles. So I'm putting down again lightly, pressing and then lifting again. And we're just going to put some basic leaves down. Again, I need a little bit more water on my brush because you can see from the leaf outline there's little dry areas. So here I've got a little bit of that neon pink on the end, and you can see what a lovely difference that makes just to the petal tones, to the leaf tones. Now we're going to try it with a bit of the turquoise blue, and these are just craft paints. I get most of these in Boys department store, which we have in our town, just because they're really easy to use. They're already mixed, they're quite opaque, and they're quite good just for practicing. The neon pink, I have to say, is very transparent. So, but again, you know, that can be used to your advantage. So that's enough of the leaves, I think. Oh, are we? Is that enough? No? We're going to put some more down. And I like to try and vary the direction. You know, some curving, some wider than others, some narrower. I think it just helps. And these are just practice strokes. I've been sewing and painting and decorating lately, and my hands are really stiff. You can see that I've got arthritis in some of my joints, so it's just a little bit of, you know, trying to keep that muscle memory going and not to let my hands completely seize, working through the pain, if it were. So now I've cleaned my brush off and I've just loaded some of that hot pink, which you can see how transparent it is. Don't worry, we're going to go back over that with some blue. And I'm just putting some basic flower shapes down, just suggestions. They're nothing too complicated. I just want to get a couple of little flowers down. These are perfect size for these to practice this kind of thing. Are a pack of greetings cards. You can get blank greetings cards from shops such as The Works and The Range and Hobbycraft and things like that. I love to use those as my practice pieces, because then at the end of the day I've got some lovely handmade cards. Just dipped the end of the pink into the blue, and you can see that lovely tonal quality. So from just 3 colours we've got so many shades, so much depth. Here I'm just putting something in the centre just to give it some depth. Nothing too elaborate, and that's it. That's perfectly acceptable. Practice, paintbrush practice. because my brush is really well loaded now, I just love to go one bigger and just press down even harder, because the brush is really saturated now. And with the blue, I've just added some green on the end, but you can see there's still hints of pink coming through on the leaves and petals. To me, this is just incredibly lovely. It's just magical to watch how this lovely tones and the depth and the different accents come through. I just think it's lovely. Really whimsical and delicate, and not very difficult. Obviously just putting in a stem and some larger than life leaves. Again, there's a bit of pink on with the green, which I just think gives some nice tones, shades. And that's just 3 colours. You can use any 3 colours, you don't have to use. Now, here I've changed my brush for something a lot finer. And again, I'm just practicing brush strokes. I'm not trying to create anything specific. I'm just keeping my muscle memory going, my hand to eye coordination. And because I do face painting as well, at the weekends, I like to keep my brush strokes. I like to keep practicing. Helps to have a fairly wet paintbrush. I'm just putting a hot pink tip on the turquoise blue, and I love that. You can change the direction of the leaves and the stems. And just adding that lovely pink gives it so much more dimension. And this is just a round brush. I think that's probably a number 2 or a 3. And just double load, i.e. load the main bristles with one colour and dip the tip in something else. It could be white, it could be black, it could be red. Here I'm just going to practice some swirls, curving my brush, because sometimes the brush bristles don't flow with the paint. And it's important to get to know your brush, what its capabilities are. How it works for you, what's possible. Some brushes can't do certain things, and some brushes can. I've just added a little bit more water to my paintbrush. I want to see sometimes how far the paint will go with one load on the brush. That's quite a long way with one, but it is, I have wet the paintbrush. Just practicing doing small dots. And I'm going to try a different colour on the other side. When you think about details and things on things like pottery and old-fashioned china, you know, these little details came from many experiments. Again, just trying different colour combinations, but you can see from that page, 3 different coloured paints can give so many different shades. You don't need an extensive palette. You know, you can work so much better with a limited amount of colours, because it forces you, if you like, to try and think outside the box. I don't know if you can hear that outside, but there is a huge storm going on and hailstones. And just a different kind of foliage, really. Much more delicate. Not the best brush, it's not the most compliant. But it does okay. Plus I'm painting on cardboard as well. These are the big packs of cardboard that I get from Amazon, which are absolutely great for practicing. And you could cut them up into smaller pieces for greetings cards. You can see there's no buckle on that. It works really well. Well, I hope you've enjoyed watching this latest video. I do intend to be posting regularly on here, little tips and techniques and explorations. Thank you for watching.